What do you think? Where do you think this leaves Netanyahu's relationship, President Trump's relationship with Iran? Because I spoke to Dr. Parsi a few weeks ago, and he still is holding true to his timeline that he thinks a potential second flare-up could still happen. And recently we just saw snapback sanctions being put in place again on Iran. So. They achieved some sort of peace in Gaza, but do you think a flare up with Iran could happen?
Yes, I do. I think that the so-called 12-day war is really probably only an intermission, unfortunately. I agree with Dr. Parsi on that.
Hmm.
The problem is that Trump has accepted Israel's bogus definition of Iran's civilian nuclear program as a nuclear weapons program. So, you might remember where people cited the director of national intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, as
Hmm.
saying Iran has not broken out and begun an attempt to try to obtain a nuclear weapon. And if they did, they'd be more than a year away. And someone brought that up to Trump, and he said, well, I don't care what she says. So, in other words, he is not going by what they are literally doing. He's essentially going with Israel's redefinition of terms, which is to say that to have a nuclear program at all is equivalent to essentially, or just, fill in the dots, is the same thing as them making nuclear weapons. And
Hmm.
so once he adopted Israel's position and dropped bombs on Iran's nuclear facilities in the name of that position, it's pretty hard to back down from. Then again, Donald Trump can flip flop on anything. To his credit, in this case, he could change his mind about that and say,
Hmm.
well, you know what? I set him back nice and good, and that's good enough for me. But the
Hmm.
problem is, of course, that the Iranians are not going to give up enrichment. And unfortunately, I've been working on some other projects and I'm behind on this story too, to the degree to which they've attempted to restart the facilities at Natanz or any of that. I think Fordo has been pretty much put off limits to them. Um, but I believe that from what the last thing I read, that much of Natanz, of the cascades of centrifuges there, that all survived the
Hmm.
attack. I know they lost the main part, the most important part of their conversion facility at Isfahan. Without
Hmm.
that, they can't turn the metal to uranium hexafluoride gas or back into metal again from uranium hexafluoride gas. So without that step, that crucial step, their electricity program and everything else is going to be pretty stymied.
Right.
However, um, they have mastered the fuel cycle for 20 years now, almost. And
Hmm.
they had announced right after the war that this isn't going to stop us. We already have a new secret facility we're working on, and we're working on setting up new cascades of centrifuges, and we're going to keep going. Now, Trita Parsi and myself and many others have been warning literally for a generation now that Iran's position here is a latent nuclear deterrent, right? They're a threshold state, meaning they proved that they had mastered the fuel cycle, but they had not gone so far as to make weapons grade uranium or nuclear weapons. And
Hmm.
so they never explicitly said this, but the, inferred bluff here was don't attack us and we won't make a nuclear weapon. And the
Yes.
American position was if you make a nuclear weapon, we'll attack you. So that was the basis for a perfect standoff. It's just that that wasn't good enough for Israel, right? Now the question is, after the 12-day war, so-called, of June, there was a real break there in time where, 10 weeks or more than that,
Hmm.
12, 15 weeks, where the IAEA was not there. And the
Right.
chain of surveillance of Iran's nuclear material was broken. And so I'm not going to like sit here and accuse them based on no evidence, but I think we'd be fools to just preclude the possibility that they are going to go ahead and make nukes now. That
Yes.
was the threat. That if you call our bluff, we're going to go ahead and make nukes then. So don't call our bluff.
Right.
Take our latent deterrent as deterrent enough. But
Hmm.
America did not do that. So I don't know that they're making nukes now, but I know that there's been a break in the chain of custody
Hmm.
and that for them to break out and begin to make a nuclear weapon, if they make a simple gun type nuke, could be, fairly easy and require minimal testing. They didn't even test the Hiroshima bomb. The
Hmm.
Trinity test was of the Nagasaki implosion bomb only. So
Mm.
they knew the Hiroshima bomb would work just through the equations. It was simple enough. So
Yeah.
um, there is a danger that they're making a nuke now.
Mm.
On the other hand, the good news is, at least they've said, that nothing has changed. The previous Ayatollah and the current Ayatollah have both issued religious edicts,
No.
fatwas, that say that God says weapons of mass destruction are haram. Forget it. We're not doing it. And I have to say, they've been pretty conservative about it all this time. And so it's quite possible that they're not going to go that far. That
Right.
I don't know what the hell is the use of a nuclear deterrent, a latent deterrent that stays latent once your bluff is called, right? Maybe, I guess there's some possibility that it really wasn't ever even meant to be a latent deterrent, that really it was only supposed to be an electricity program. Or maybe another interpretation was it was meant to be a latent deterrent, but having had their bluff called, the Ayatollah simply recognizes that American power is such that we can have total air dominance over their country, and that we can really bomb them, and including bomb their capital city, even
Mm.
without nuclear weapons. We can rain massive destruction on their country, on their military, on their nuclear facilities at will, essentially. And that in the time that it would take them to break out and make a nuke, that they get caught and the next phase of the war would begin. That's, part of it makes sense. At least it was inferred that that was part of their thinking this whole time. No point in
Mm.
breaking out to make a nuke because then America will attack us. So we'll just try to deter them by telling them, hey, don't make us break out and make a nuke by attacking us. You see, again, the contradiction there, the catch-22 in the thing.
Yeah.
So anyway, sorry for the long answer, but the point being that the issue is unresolved. Trump
Mm.
says for them to have a nuclear program at all is the same thing as them making nuclear bombs. And they're
Mm.
saying, we're not making nuclear bombs, which again, they may be, but they're saying they're not, but they're also saying that it's just the highest matter of national sovereignty and independence and pride that they have this enrichment capability and they will not give it up no matter what, even if it means war comes again. So where does that lead? It leaves us with the threat of another unnecessary conflict that we really didn't have to have in the first place, but based on the suppositions of the Trump administration at this point only makes sense.